Oh, hi. I don't know if my arm covered that. These gnats are just eating me alive again. There we go. Got him. Looked like there's about 3 or 4 feeding now. About right where they are. There he is. There we go. Okay, we got the pocket light going. Makes today a success. Hello everyone, welcome to Matt's Outdoor Adventures. We are going to be talking about a couple different rifles today, and we're going to be comparing them. Now, I'm going to say it now, this is not an apples to apples comparison, so anything goes basically. First rifle you haven't seen, and that is this one right here. This is a 22 long rifle. It is actually what the 1022 is based off of. This is a Marlin Model 60. And you can see it's been beat up a little bit, and that's because it's a very old gun. It's actually about 40 years old, and it's the gun that I actually learned how to shoot on. So it's got a lot of sentimental value to me, and we're going to test it out for accuracy against a very familiar gun, the Umarex Gauntlet. Give me a second here, and I'll bring that one up to you as well. So this is my Umarex Gauntlet. Very familiar to you if you've been on my channel, and it's very much an entry-level PCP, but it's no slacker by any means. So these are the two rifles we're going to be comparing, and later on I'm going to go into the differences between the two of them, and we'll talk about that as well. So now that I've shown you both rifles, I'll see you out on the range. Let's try that again. Here we go. First shot on paper. Nailed it. Alright, second shot on paper, holding crosshairs on. Okay, there's 2. And we're going to magazine change here to get the other 3. Alright, here's shot number 3. Shot number 4. Damn it, I'm going to have another double load. Okay, there's 5 with 2 double loads, so not a bad little grouping. Holding center and everything. Alright, we're live, ready to go. So if that's not confusing, I don't know what the hell is. So I have 4 in that first original hole, and then I have 4 arcing across the bullseye. So just very confusing at 25. We'll go to 50 with it, see what it does. Alright, so now we're out here at 50 yards. I'm going to be holding about like that. We'll see where that gets us. Sorry for bumping you there. I'm sure that was real smooth. Pretty dang good. Double load again. I don't know why I'm double loading everything today. Those ones you actually saw the pellets go. So there's 3, and give me a second here for a magazine change. All pretty tight. Now this is all with the Umarex Gauntlet, so keep that in mind. There's 4. pulled that one, but we'll put a 6th one in there. There we go. There's 6. We'll look at that up close here in a bit. All right, we're out here at 50, and once again, just using the same target as last time, because I don't know where these are grouping, and from at 25, they look like they're a little confused. Ready to go on my end. Here's something interesting. They group better at 50 than they do at 25. So that's cool. All right, here we go. 75, almost no wind, so take the shot, right? Load a damn pellet first. Well, there's 4. None of them very pretty. All right, shot number 5. Let's see if I can get this hold over right. 3 dots. All right, not terrible, but there's a lot more horizontal dispersion than vertical dispersion, which means to me that I've got a lot of wind pushing me out there, which isn't necessarily a big deal, but it makes the gun look like it's not performing when really it's actually probably doing pretty damn well out there. So the dot right there on my crosshairs, that one was with no wind. The dot right there on the very edge of the target is with wind. So you're being pushed almost 6 inches by the wind. So having 3 inches of horizontal dispersion and 1 inch of vertical, I can talk guys, is really not that big of a deal. Most of that, you can see I've got 3 here. Those are probably the ones with 0 wind, and these up here are probably me or wind. So a little bit of a confusing factor there. All right, we're out here at 75. I adjusted the scope up 5 inches, so I should be putting them right on crosshairs and hopefully putting them right in the center. We'll see where they land though. Damn it, they landed right in among the gauntlet ones. I see the grouping, it's 3 inches to the right. All right. That's okay. If it keeps developing like that, we'll be just fine. Grouping looks to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So grouped right in there with the gauntlet actually. So I just got back from the range. I know my hair hasn't gotten any better. It's just what it's gonna be like since I can't get my hair cut. Anyways, so I tested out at 25, 50, and 75 yards with the Umrex gauntlet and the 22 long rifle. What conclusions did I come to? I came to something very interesting and not expecting it at all. So at 25 yards, let me pull my targets apart here. This is what I got with the Umrex gauntlet. That's a 5-shot group. We've seen that before. Very typical, between a 1/4 and a 1/2 inch. Excuse me, yeah, 1/4 and 3/8 inch is about where we're expecting those to be. And very on par for the gun. So good to see that right off the bat. And with the 22, we got some really interesting results. Now, this is a 10-shot group. So I've got 5 here, and I've got 5 here. Now, the really crazy thing is these are not 2 separate groups. This is not 5 of one group, and this is not 5 of another group. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2, 3, 4, 5. So very just different groupings. And this is looking at about an inch. Now I know you're saying, well, you have 4 here, why just not count this one as a flyer? Well, because this was the second grouping. Anyways, very confusing to me on what happened at 25 yards, but as far as saying, you know, which one is more accurate, at 25 yards, it's pretty easy to say, well, the Umarex Gauntlet's obviously more repeatable and more accurate, but is it that way all the way across? And then we go to 50 yards. So this is the Umarex Gauntlet on top. Shockingly, it looks almost identical to what the 25-yard group is. A slightly bigger, this is a 1/2 inch, this is a 1/4 inch, so twice the distance, twice the spread. But that is an incredible grouping to look at this one and look at this one and say, wow, these look exactly identical. I did pull this shot, so this is a 6-shot grouping, but I very much pulled this shot early, so we're throwing that one out. And this is the 22 grouping. There's 2 of them in this hole, and then there's 4 or 3 there, so that is a 5-shot group. Now the cool thing about this one is, if you look at the shot dispersion here and here, is there's not a whole lot of difference in grouping size. So you say, well, why does that doesn't seem to make any sense. The further you are away, the bigger your grouping should get. I agree with you. Then we get out to 75 yards. Now, granted, the 75-yard grouping is a little bit different. I shot it on the same target, and I thought I was holding off enough, but I wasn't. So the target sits like this. This one we're throwing out because this is throwing out on the wind. These 4 right here are the Umarex Gauntlets, and this one, this one, this one, and this one. Did I do that right? I didn't do that right. These 4 here are the 22, which at this point you're saying now it's flipped. The Umarex Gauntlet has a 2-inch grouping and the 22 has about a 1-inch grouping. So that bamboozles all of us. And it comes into a different discussion. I know this is a long outro, but what you have is you have a bullet, the 22s, if I can get the box open, that are a 40 grain, you know, actual slug bullet, whereas the pellets are they're 22 caliber, but they're 14 grain. So they're almost 4 times less weight, and they're much slower. So what happens is your external factors start to affect you more. A gust of wind. I had to adjust quite a bit to put this grouping in. With the 22, I just put it crosshairs on center. And so you can see that the external factors start to get at you more. So when I go out to 100 yards and I shoot with the Gauntlet, it's very difficult to hit a clay bird. With the 22, it's just, you know, give a little bit of elevation, pull the trigger, you're good to go. You don't hardly have to worry about wind or anything. So it's just that the design of the bullet is so much different that the Gauntlet has a hard time keeping up with the 22 because it's such an easy thing to shoot when you have a bullet that's traveling supersonic and it's 4 times as heavy and it's got a better ballistic coefficient. So is the Gauntlet more accurate than the 22? The answer is sometimes, or in this case, but it's not yes. Anyways, that was a super long outro. I went into a rant afterwards, so I cut that out. Thank you guys for watching, and I don't know, I didn't stick the scope cam on the 22 just because there's a lot of recoil, but I might do it in the future here because I think that it's important to be able to look down crosshairs and say this is how much we're shaking, or we're not shaking at all, and go from there. Thanks, guys.